All right, the first thing I want to show you is the file that I created for this presentation. And it is a file created in Pages. It's exported out to EPUB, and then it's I put it on my iPad so that you could hear it. I hear myself. Sorry. Okay,
I'm going to eliminate that.
Okay. All right, great. All right, so this first page, this is the cover page, and I'm going to scroll through and explain. So, George, if you need to say something to me, just unmute so I can hear you and not hear, hear just myself. So, this particular document was created in Pages, and I'm going to scroll through and show you some of these items here. You have a cover page, an acknowledgments page, table of contents page, and the idea is that with Pages you can also create more than just a text document. This file will show consistency in layout. It'll show a couple more features here like a sidebar, heading, subheading, there's page numbers down at the bottom, and there's even footnotes in the document. And as I'm scrolling through again, just to show you the consistency, here I've created a video, and I'm going to enlarge and play the video. You may not be able to hear the sound because of the sound being turned off, but you can create a video that is played within Pages and within the EPUB that is exported. You can also create what is called an image gallery. And down here at the bottom right, bottom left, my other right, this image gallery are images that you can scroll through, and there are captions down at the bottom. And as I continue on to show you this document, again, more consistency of layout, images that you can add that can stay on the page or move with the text. And also, you can create from Pages version 7.2, the new version, you can have a text, you can have an audio file embedded in the EPUB. Now, I'm not going to play it, I'm going to show you that it will play, but you may not be able to hear it because I'm using QuickTime, and QuickTime thinks I'm trying to record, so it may not let the sound come out. And you can also add a web link. So you see the link down here. If I click on the link with cold fingers, it asks me if I want to go and open the web browser so that I can view this. Yes, let's go open it. And it takes you to that page, loads it, you can read the page. And after you're done reading the page, I'm going to click in the upper left corner, go back to books. It takes me back to where I was, and I can continue to scroll through my document. And at the back end here, I created a little graphic, and I'm going to show you how you can use the new graphic features in Pages. So the idea is that you can create something far more than just a plain text document, and you can do this from Pages. So I do have one question before I begin. Does this look like your average word processing document that you would think that you could create in Pages?
No.
No.
All right, thank you. All right, so excuse me and let me begin. Okay, so let me close this because I don't need this for a while. Oops. All right, cool. All right, so with Pages, let me go to Pages and File and New. All right, so in Pages, everything starts with a template. And the idea of the file that I just showed you is to create consistent formatting, an automatic generating table of contents, to create footnotes, image gallery, a movie file, web link, and some of the other new features, and you start with the template, always in Pages. So with this Pages categories, you see a lot of different layouts, but how do you know which one to choose? You really are not told that in order to create the features like automatic generated table of contents or footnotes, you have to use a word processing file, not a page layout document. Now, when you go to Pages and you go to New, it shows you the different categories, but nowhere does it say which one of these is only page layout and which one is only word processing. So there is a way to see which one it is, and I'm going to just pick a file here. Let's go to here, and I'm going to start with this one, and double click to open it up. Now in the upper right hand corner, I got that one right today, upper right hand corner you have Document. So I'm going to click on Document, and if I go down to near the center of this section, you'll see this check mark for Document Body. This is the only indicator that you have on whether or not you're dealing with a word processing word processing template or a page layout template. If this is checked, if Document Body is checked, this is a word processing file. So we're going to start right here using this one. I've selected this because I like the way the formatting looks, the text looks, and I'm starting somewhere. You can always change it. Just start somewhere. So the first thing I'm going to change about this template is I'm going to change the orientation. So over here, upper right, I'm just going to click on the landscape orientation. And as you work on a template file, things are going to move, things are going to change, things are going to jump around. That's the nature of the beast. So we're not going to be afraid of that. So the first thing I want to do is just make this a tad bit smaller. All of these are placeholders. Placeholder, placeholder, placeholder. And even here, placeholder. So these are all going to be changed. Now, one thing that I always have open when I'm working in Pages is I'm going up to the upper left corner here. You'll see where it has View. I'm going to select that and choose Show Page Thumbnails. Page thumbnails give you a lot of information, and it's very advantageous to have this open. So when you're working in Pages, working in a template, I'm going to create a book. I'm going to have front matter. I'm going to have cover page, an acknowledgements page, table of contents page, and how Pages separates that content out in a word processing program is that they do it with sections. Over here on the left, if I click on the top thumbnail, you see that the background is outlined in blue. That means that this is a section all by itself. If I click on the next page, you'll see that the first page is outlined in blue, but the next two pages have a light blue behind it. This means that these 3 pages are one section. So this is how Pages separates content out how it separates content out. So again, I'm going to have cover page, acknowledgements page, table of contents. I'm going to have a chapter 1 and a chapter 2. So this is how I'm going to add pages to my document here. I'm going to insert. So, excuse me. Clicking on page 1, I want to insert 2 pages after page 1, 2 sections actually. So going up to the insert menu in the menu bar, I select section. It's now going to add a new page, a new section after the page that was selected. I'm going to do this again because this is going to be my acknowledgements page. The next page is going to be my table of contents page. So what I'm doing initially is just setting up this document, and then I will go in and work on the content, work on the formatting. For my next insert, I'm going to click on the 3-page section that I have here, and I'm going to duplicate it. So going up to the edit menu, I just choose duplicate selection. It's then going to add an additional 3 pages for that entire section. So setting up a document, this is what I do first. You can still always add content at any time, so no harm, no foul. That's what I call it when you want to add pages. Okay, so now let's start working with content and formatting. So let's go back and click on page 1. Okay, so give me 1 second. I'll make sure I'm covering all of my notes here. Page 1. All right, so desert dunes. This is a text placeholder, and I'm going to change this. I'm going to add my own content and even do formatting of the paragraph styles. So I'm going to go over to the right-hand side and select format. And because title is selected, and before I do that, I'm going to show you that this particular template also has other paragraph styles. Title, heading, heading to, body, copy, and caption. I'm going to add or change some of these as I go along. So with Desert Dunes selected, I'm going to just start typing. Okay, UA option I and I. Kauai, the Garden Island. Okay, so that's going to be my title. Okay, give me 1 second. Sorry, I want to see where I am. All right, and now I'm going to select the upper left text. This is going to be one of my headings. I'm going to type in Tropical Paradise. And I'm going to change this. So I'm going to select it. Whoops, just select the text. When I select the text, you'll see here over on the right-hand side that the heading is selected. I'm going to change this. I'm going to leave the text as the style font it is. I'm going to change this to medium. I want to set the text to 19. And I want to click on this gear here. And this gear allows me to do a couple things. I'm going to change the capitalization to all caps. And I think I'm going to change the character spacing. I'm going to increase the character spacing, which will spread the text out a little bit. So 18%, all caps, and cool. All right, so this is what the text looks like now. And this is what the paragraph style heading 2 looks like now. And when you change the template information, what you will get is an update button. And this is indicating now, do you want to change this paragraph style so that all of the instances of this paragraph style in this document now look like this? Yes, I do. So I want to click the update button, but I want to give you a little bit of caution. And this happened to me during the very first time I did this presentation. This update button did not pop up. There's always something that happens. When this update button did not pop up, you can do this. You know that you want to change this style. So if I click this arrow pointing down, it will, it will show me the paragraph styles, show me what's selected, and if I go over to the right, you'll see this arrow pointing to the right. If I click that, it will allow me to redefine from selection. So now I can make sure that the text gets updated even if that little button does not pop up, because I know things never happen during presentations, or they never happen when you're trying to work on them. So just to give you that little piece of information. Okay, so let's move on. I'm going to leave the image placeholder for a minute. Let's move on, and now I'm going to click on Acknowledgements page. And here, I'm just going to click and type. I want to use not the title paragraph style, but I want to use the heading. And I'm just going to type in Acknowledgements. All right, and I'm just going to press return and just leave this here for a minute. And let's keep moving on. The third page will be the table of contents. I want to do the table of contents last because all of this will be automatically generated. So I want all of my paragraph styles and my document sort of completed before I start this. So let's now just move on to page number 4, thumbnail page number 4. I'm going to do some formatting here as well. Let's select the heading. I'm going to enter chapter 1. And this will be the industry of UA, option I and I. All right, so I've set the heading. I'm going to select heading 2 and enter beautiful countryside. Oops. Beautiful. B-E-A-U. Didn't say I was a great speller. Beautiful countryside. B-A-U-T-I-F-U-S-S-I-D-E. Okay, so now got that in. And I'm going to continue on setting some of this formatting first. So this is going to be chapter 2. Chapter 2. And this is going to be S-E-A-T-E-S, Mountainscapes. And this is going to read breathtaking. Let's see. Scenic views. All right. Okay, so I've set up my chapter headings and my subheadings. I'm going to go back and click on the thumbnail for page 4 to take me back to there. And I'm going to do a little more editing. I want to replace my placeholder text here. And when I select my placeholder text, it actually selects all of the placeholder text in this section, with the exception of this. Now this is section chapter 1. If I select this placeholder text, it selected everything but this. So the question is why? There are some things that are going on in the document because it is a template that you may not be aware of. So here's another little item that I want you to use occasionally. If you go up to the View menu and choose Show Invisibles, it will show you items that you don't normally see. What it is indicating right here is a page break. So this is why this particular text was not selected, because of the page break. So when you have Show Invisibles, it shows you a lot of things. It'll show you what are paragraph returns, and it will show you these little anchors. I'm going to explain what the anchors are in a second. But if you notice that something isn't as you would expect it to be, turn on Show Invisibles so that you can see what is happening. So I'm going to turn this off, and I'm actually going to go in and paste some copy text. But one last thing that I wanted to mention before I do this. I'm going to go back to View and go back to Show Invisibles. I'm going to add text right here in the placeholder text. Because this page break is here, because of this page break, when I add my text, it's actually going to push this other text down. and it may even create a new page. So you'll see things jump around when you're working on a template, and just, it's nothing to be afraid of. It's just something that you'll just have to fix as you're going on. All right, so let's go back to view, hide invisibles, and I'm going to go to my text document that I have. I've already created text to use in this file. I'm just going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it into Pages. Now there's something else that I want to do. I want to paste this content into the placeholder text, but I want the formatting of the placeholder text to remain. I like it. So I want to do Edit, and I want to select Paste and Match Style. What it will do is paste in my copy of text with the formatting of the body style. So here you have, this is where my placeholder text was, and it did add another page and push this placeholder text down. So to be expected because of what was going on. Okay, and one thing that I always do when I'm working on a file, I save it because I don't want it to accidentally vaporize. So let's call this 1022, and I'm just going to call it Naples Pages file. Oops, and okay. All right, we're all set there. So I've pasted my copy text into chapter 1. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for chapter 2. But there's something that I've noticed. And actually, hold on, I skipped a page. So let me do this. This is copy number 2. And let's paste this in as well. Copy. And edit, paste, and match style. So that's good. Now, if I go down to chapter 2, I've noticed that something has happened. My image has moved. And again, this is normal when you're working with word processing programs. When you add and remove things, things bounce around. So I don't need this image actually. So I'm just going to delete it, and then everything goes back into place. So when these things happen to you, don't fret, just know what you want and delete it. You can always put it back. So now my chapter 2 is laid out the way I want. I'm going to go back and copy more text. This is copy 3. Copy, and we're going to paste and match style, edit, paste, and match style. All right, so I have all but this page set up, and I actually don't need this page. So what I'm going to do is delete the text. And if I also delete, and I'm going to show invisibles when I do this, if I also delete this page break, that page below also disappears. So as you add text, Pages will automatically add the amount of pages needed to accommodate the text. If you remove the text, Pages will remove the page because it's no longer needed. All right, so let's save this file, and let's go back and turn off the shell. All right, so, okay, so let's make sure we're in the right place. And let's go back to our first page, and let's start adding images to this. This Dunes image is a placeholder image. I want to add my own image. There are several ways you can add images into your placeholder files. I'm going to go over to the right-hand side here, and I'm going to select Image, and it brings up Replace. If I click the Replace button, it then asks me, okay, where do you want to, where's the image, and where do you want to, where's the image, not where do you want to put it, just where's the image. All right, so let's choose this image right here, and I'm just going to choose Open. So it places the image into the placeholder file, I'm sorry, into the placeholder bounding box. But there's actually more of this image than I see right now, and I want to make this as large as possible. To do that, double-click on the image itself, and it brings up editing tools. I can select the landscape image, the landscape icon that's down here on the lower left, and that allows me to move my image around. I can move it, show parts of it. What I want to do is first click on the icon to the right, which is the cropping, and I'm going to take this and drag it all the way to the left and all the way to the right. And actually, I can also enlarge this. So if I drag the slider, I can make this almost as large as I want. So let's take the slider, drag this around. You see that you can position this any way you like. I am going to crop between the two of these so that I can show as much of my image as possible. Let's take this, slide that to the left. All right, good. And if I go here, I want to make sure, whoops, not from there. I want to only show that part. So I think I have it set the way I want it. I'm going to choose done, and boom. So you can make your image as large or as small as you want it, and you can crop just by double clicking and bringing up the cropping interface. All right, so let's select, let me slide that a little bit, and select done. Okay, so let's add another image into our document. I'm going to go to page 4. And I want to say something about this jumping around that may be perceived here. When you're working on a file, chances are you'll never work on it in a linear fashion. So jumping around is normal, jumping around is real life. So this is a real life example of what's going to happen when you're working on practically any file. So it's okay to jump back and forth. Now, I want to change the image here. Before I showed you how you can go over to the right and choose the replace button. You can actually click on a image placeholder and click on this icon here in the lower right corner. What this will do, it will bring up your Photos app that's on your computer, and it will allow you to input images from here. Now, I don't have any images in Photos, but I do have a lot of images in iCloud sharing. So I'm going to click on my shared icon and select my Kawaii folder. And from there, I'm going to select an image. And let's choose this one right here. And it populates with that image file. So several ways to input images. I can even drag and drop from the Finder. So it's pretty easy to get images into Pages. Now let's go to another image because I want to show you that you can make your images flow with the text. Now earlier I asked you to just take a look at some of the icons that are here. This icon here is related to this image. This is an anchor, and it indicates several things. It indicates that if this text moves, so will the image. In this particular case, this image is not going to move, or I don't want it to move. But I do want this image to move. Now, I've selected this image, but you don't see that anchor icon anywhere. Let's go over to the right-hand side of the screen. I'm going to click back on this image, go back over to the right-hand side, and select the Arrange button. So with the Arrange button, you'll see here, Object Placement, Move with Text, Stay on Page. So if I go back and click on this image and go back over there to the right, this one says Stay on Page. You can have either option. You can tell an image to stay on the page where it is, or you can tell it to move with the text. This particular image, I want it to move with the text. So now that I've selected that, this little anchor has now appeared on my document inside the text. The one thing with this is that you cannot indicate to Pages where you want this anchor to be. Pages will just input it somewhere. You can be aware and sort of, I want to say manipulate a little bit where you want this to be, but for the most part, Pages places this anchor wherever it wants to place it. So I am going to resize this, and I'm going to tuck it over here. And I actually want the text to flow around. There we go. I want it right about there. Not too far. I want the text to go around the image. So if I go back up to the upper right corner, you can see that you can have text wrap around an image. You can have it select above and below, which it is right now. I don't want it. I want it to move around the text. So if I set it to move around the text, you'll see now that the text is now wrapping around and that anchor has moved. And as I move the image, text wraps around as well. So let's go right about here. And I want to show you that this text, this image will move. So note where it is. And just for, let's do this one. I'm going to take this text right here. I'm going to copy it and cut it. And I'm going to input it right here. And let's just paste. And you see how the image file moved. So that's what Move with Text option will do to the images. It will allow them to move with the text so that you don't have to reposition an image every time and make sure that it stays with the text. All right, let's save my document just in case. And let's move on and let's go down to here. I actually have too many pages, so 1, 2, and let's just delete this page right here. And all right, cool. Now I'm going to go to page number 7, and I'm going to add a new image here. And let's click on the icon, and let's go to the Kawaii folder, and let's add this image. And now I'm going to move down a little further. I'm going to add a couple more things here. I'm going to add an image file. I'm going to add a movie file. And I'm going to add an image gallery. For those two things, for the first one, for the movie file, I'm just going to pull that out of the Finder. So let me go to my Finder. And I'm just going to pull this on the screen so that you can see it. I have a folder that has my files, movie files, and I'm going to just take this and grab it and put it right there and slide this back off. Now that I have my movie file, I can reposition it, and when I dragged it in, it automatically anchored it to the text. So it will move with the text, but I'm going to just resize it. And once it's selected, I'm going to go over to the right-hand side and select Movie. And that gives me some options here. First, it tells me what file it is, and then it gives me controls. So I can actually just play it while I'm working. Now, I can set the volume for when this file is eventually played, and I can set the volume for how loud the movie will play. I can also trim the movie. I can set a poster frame, which is the image that is shown on top of the movie file. And I can tell it whether or not I want it to loop back and forth, or not loop at all. So you do have controls for your movie files. So I'm going to just leave this one here. I'm going to play it after we export it. I'll play it now and show you what it is. It's just a sunset. a very short, quick film. Okay? Now I want to add an image gallery now. I'm going to click on the blank spot, turn everything off. So if I go up to the menu bar up here, and I'm going to choose Insert, and I want to select Image Gallery. It will just automatically drop the image gallery into the page. I'm going to slide this over, and right about there, and make it a little larger. Okay. With an image gallery, you just drop your images into this placeholder. So let's pull this back, Naples Image Gallery, and I'm just going to select 4 images from my Finder window and take them and just drop them into the image gallery. And boom. And actually, I need to pull this back because I need to use that. So come back here. All right, back to Pages. When you have an image gallery, and let me see if I can enlarge this so that you can see it a little better. When you have an image gallery placeholder, it gives you a couple of indicators here. It gives you this arrow so that you can pan the images, and it also gives you an area to type the caption, and it has 4 little dots to indicate that there are 4 images in this file. So let's do this. I'm going to click, and I'm going to enter just hybrid, and click on the arrow to take me to the next image. And this was a very, very large vegetation. This next one, hibiscus, hibiscus. And the next one, this is an orchid. All right, so that is all you need to do to add your image gallery. So here, just clicking on the arrows takes you through them, and it will have the same operation when you export this out to a EPUB. Okay, so let me now go back, lower this, and let's do this. Let's fit width so you can see everything. All right, so you have added here a movie file, you have an image gallery, and let's keep moving. The next thing that I want to add are page numbers. And I'm going to start this by going to page 1. Okay, I'm just making sure that I got everything. All right, let's add page numbers. Now, you probably don't want a page number on this page because it is a picture, very large picture. This is probably going to be the front cover of the book, if not the inside front cover, and you don't want a page number here. But what you do have, and let's see, document, and I'm going to click on the thumbnail. It's important you click on the thumbnail, and I'm going to go over to the right-hand side and click on the document tab right here. So clicking on the thumbnail and then clicking on the document tab, I'm going to click on section. And the section allows you to do a few things. It allows you to have header footers, and it allows you to choose your formatting for your page numbering and where you want the page numbering to start. Now, okay, give me 1 second, because something is not showing up here. It's not showing up. Of course, this never happens when you're not doing a presentation. Okay, hide invisibles. Okay. Give me 1 second to see if I can figure out why my footers aren't showing. Headers and footers. Oh, there we go. Figured it out. All right, so I clicked on the thumbnail for page 1, and over on the right panel, document icon, tab, and I want to make sure that headers and footers are showing. So header, footer, let's turn those on. And it also gives you the indication of where your headers and footers are located from the edge of the page. My header is located 1/2 inch, and my footer has a narrower margin. Document copy, page margins. Oh, you know, I actually forgot to change those. I meant to change those, but we'll make it work. No facing pages. All right, so let's get out of there. Now, I want to show you here. These are your headers in your document. They show up in 3 sections. And let me do this. Let me go to page 2. And let me show you the header. You have the header section. And down below, you have the footer section. So as you hover over them with your cursor, they will show up. Now, let's go back to the right-hand side. I'm going to click back on section. So this was the information that was grayed out that I wanted to make sure that I saw. So I want to have a page number on this page. And I also want to center that, but I want to work on the page number first. When you click inside any of these 3 sections in the header or the footer, it has a pop-up for page insert. Now, you can click on either of these to set your page location. It doesn't matter, but you will only be allowed to do this one time. So I'm going to click down in the center, and if I click on Insert Page Number, it will indicate a page number. And it's reading from the thumbnails. This is physical page number 2, it's reading from the thumbnails. I'm going to click on page 2, or page number 2, and it's going to insert up to here. Now, I'm going to select this because I want to change how large this is. So I'm going to go back over to the right-hand side and click on Format. Now, the only time you'll see header footer formatting is when you are actually in the header or footer. Otherwise, you'll never see this pop up. So format, header, footer. I'm going to just change the point size to something smaller. Oops. Like 11 point. And choose Update. So now that's set. Now, let's continue with inserting page numbers here. This is going to be the front matter. Page 1, 2, and 3 are going to be the front matter of my document. So I want them to have lowercase Roman numeral page numbering. So let's go back to this 2. Go back to formatting. And, excuse me, I lost something again. Go back to document. There it is, sorry. And I want to select the page numbering format. From here, I want it a lowercase Roman numerals. And I also want it to start at page 1 because I don't want the physical page 1 to have a page number. So, page 1. So now I have a lowercase Roman numeral 1 here. If I now go over to physical page 3, but page 2, which will be my table of contents, I have a lowercase 2 here. If I go to page 1, I don't have to worry about it because the page is hidden. And I also can make sure that Hide on First Page is deselected. That will then make sure that there is that will make sure that the header and footer do not show on page 1. So I'm set with page 1. I have page 2, which is lowercase page 1. I have page 3, which is lowercase page 2. Now let's go to the chapter pages. Now, I want this chapter page 1 to have a page 1 numbering system. So over on the right hand side, here, section, I do want to have these two deselected because I don't want to hide it. I don't want it to match previous section. And actually I need to turn that on in order for this to work. So I turn on match previous section. I want it to read a formatting of this type. I don't want it to continue. I want it to start at page 1. So let me turn this off, and down at the bottom I have the page 1. And sometimes you have to go back and check to make sure that things are working properly, but I'm going to finish this first. So if I go to page 2, I have a page 2. If I go to page 3, I have page 3. If I go to page chapter 2, there are no page numbers here. So let's click, insert page number. This will indicate the new page number. The reason you saw a 7 is because this is physical page 7, but it is page 4 in my numbering system. So everything is working as it should. For a change, how about that? So we should have, no, I take that back. Let's go back. So here, my page numbering changed. Like I said, nothing happens during presentations. So let's see if I can get this to reset back to there. Start at page 1. You're page 2. Did all of this change? Yes, this changed. So what I want to set this to is to not match the previous. You have to have that. Start at page 1. Did you change? All right. How did you get this to not change? Give me a second. One, go back here, go back to page 2. Match from previous style. Okay. And if I can't get this to set properly, I will apologize for that. I can't get this to set properly. Alright, so let's do this. Let me try something here. Hide on first page section. I'm troubleshooting to see if I can get this to set properly. Match previous section, fine. There is no previous section, but alright. So here, page 2. That is now page 1. That is now page 2. This page, this will be page 3. And I do not want it to match previous section. So turn that on. I do not want it to match previous section, but it is taking up that information. So 1, 2, continue, and then start. And that went back. All right, I apologize for pages. I cannot get it to not do this, but hopefully if I can figure it out by the end of the presentation, I will. So I'm going to move on and I'll fix that at some other time. It does work. I promise you it does work. All right, so let's save pages behaving naughty and let's move on. The next thing I want to create is a running header. So let's start on the chapter page. And here. My running header is going to be here at the top, right here in the header area. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to enter Tropical Paradise. All right. And I'm also going to select, no, I'm not going to select that yet because I'm going to change it. All right, so All right, so I have this text here. I'm going to go back over to the right-hand side. I'm going to select the formatting button, and I'm going to format this header footer. Style, I want this to be all caps, capitalization, all caps. And I want the point size to be 10 points. So let's take that down. Oops. All right. And I think those are the only changes I want to make. But also note that the update button has popped up. So I'm going to click that. It updates. So now everything looks like this formatting. I'm going to select it and copy it because I'm going to paste it in another location. So this is chapter 1. It all automatically shows up on page 2 of chapter 1, on page 3 of chapter 1. On chapter 2, it does not show up because they are separated. So I'm just going to paste that in. So now I have it showing up, but I also have a little bit of an issue showing up as well. And let me show you what that is. Right now, the running header is abutting up against the copy text. So I'm going to change the location of the running header in the margin. So let's turn that off for a second. So let's go over to the UI. I'm going to click on the document button and click on the document tab. And over here on the right side, where it says document margins, I'm going to change, and let's see, top, bottom, that's the top. And let's reduce that a little bit. Let's see, change to, and if I reduce that document margin, reduce that. Okay. Top, bottom, left, right. Okay, it has not moved yet. Header for the second. Header field. Of course not, sorry. Let's change that back to 7.5. And let's see where this wants to be. Okay. In the header area, we're going to change that. And it is still not moving. Header. Excellent. All right, let's make sure. Let's make sure it is still not moving. Give me 1 second, please. Why is that not moving? Because you changed your margins, and that needs to be there. Okay. Okay, I know this never happens to you either. So this is what I just did, which, because I forgot to change my margins when I started this presentation, I had my document margins set at 0.75 for the top. The bottom should have been smaller. And here, for the header footer, I just changed the location of the header footer location. So now you'll see that the text is not abutting up against the body copy. Okay, let's save your document and let's move on. I'm going to go to the acknowledgements page, and let's do this. Let's take this document section and hide. All right, so document, acknowledgements. I'm going to change the style a little bit, and because I want to center it on the page. So this is going to be changed to a new paragraph style. So I'm going to select here, heading, just click here and click on new. And I'm going to just change this to ACK acknowledgements. Because I changed the alignment, I want to create a new paragraph style for it. And now I want to add a floating text box. Even though you have a word processing program that basically acts like one scrolling document, you can still create floating text boxes and place them anywhere. So if I go up to the toolbar, and let me click anywhere here. If I go up to the toolbar and select text, it just drops a text box into my screen. And I'm going to just type, thank you for your patience. Thank you for your patience. And if I click, I then, in a blank spot, I then can select it. You see the anchor point here, so I can either have it stay with the page or I can have it move with the text. I'm going to have it stay on the page anywhere I want, and I can arrange this so that it is centered left and centered in the middle. So there you are. Okay, now let's move on because I want to add footnotes. Save your document. Text isn't centered. And let's center that. Okay, cool. All right, so now, and I'm going to go here and go to document. And I want to take that running header off of here. So now my running header are only on my chapter pages. Now I want to add a footnote. So I'm going to start on page 5 because there's text here that I want to highlight for you. And that text is, and actually let's just highlight it right here. So I placed my cursor right here. This isn't the actual text that I wanted, but I am just going to go with the flow here. So I want to add a footnote. When you're adding a footnote, it will add a footnote icon here, and it will also go down to the bottom of the page where the footer is and add a footnote here. So let me turn this off. And if I go to the toolbar and select the insert menu, I can select footnote. So now you'll see that little one here, and you'll see the little one right there. So let me turn that off. I'm going to go to my text document first and copy my footnote text that I want to paste into this area. All right. So now, and let me zoom in so you can see this a little more enlarged. And let's do this. Okay, so I'm going to insert the text that I just copied. And even if I go to paste and match style, this text is still going to come in very large and my pages may jump around. So I'm going to do it anyway because I'm brave. So luckily it didn't jump around. So it pasted the text in. The text is way too large for what I want, and I want to edit it. In order to edit footnote text, the first thing I have to do is click on a blank spot to turn it off. And then if I click on the footnote again, it becomes outlined in blue. You see it outlined in blue here. Once it's outlined in blue, I can go to the formatting menu, and it never will say on the right-hand side where you're formatting that it's formatting a footnote. It will always read default. So we're going to go with that. I want to change the size of this type. I'm going to take it down to something like 10. And I believe everything else is going to remain exactly the way it is. So I'm happy with that. So let's save my document, and there's my first footnote. And to show you that it does number footnotes accordingly in proper order, I'm going to add another one pretty quickly down on the next page. And let's go to, actually it is on this page somewhere. There it is. I'm going to go to where coffee is. So I'm right here at coffee. I'm going to add a footnote here. So let's go back to the insert menu, go to footnote. It places the 2 here, and it also places the 2 down here. Let's go back to my text document and copy my text. Go back to pages, and let's go back here. And let's go to edit, and I can just choose paste because it already has the style setting to it. All right. So that's done. And you see that it does have the appropriate formatting numbering system. It will number 1, 2, 3, and so forth. All right, so let's save our document, and let's move on. Now, the next thing I'm going to add is a table of contents. So I don't think there's anything else I wanted to add down here. Let's go to our table of contents page, which is page 3. All right, and let's zoom out a little bit so you can see this a little better. All right, so I'm just going to click, excuse me, excuse me 1 second. So I'm just going to click to insert my style. I want to insert the paragraph style, and I don't want it to be the title style because the title style is too large. I want it to start with the heading style. And I'm just using the heading style as a starting place, and I'll show you why I'm changing it in a second. I'm going to type in table of contents. And I'm going to select this text. And I'm actually going to create a new paragraph style out of this. And let's go over to the right-hand side. I'm going to select the new icon, and I'm going to create a table of contents, paragraph style. The reason I needed to create a new paragraph style is because I'm creating a table of contents. And the table of contents is going to look at the paragraph styles in my document in order to create a automatically regenerating table of contents. I don't want my table of contents to have an entry that tells me that my table of contents is on the table of contents page. So that's why I've created a new table of contents, paragraph style. So now I'm going to press return, and I'm going to tell Pages to automatically create a table of contents for me. So if I go to the insert menu here, I'm going to go down to table of contents and select document. So what that means is that it's going to look at the paragraph styles in the entire document and input them in here. So let me turn this off, and when I do this, you may actually see that it's a table of contents. It's going to create a table of contents, and right now it's going to be all wrong. But we're going to change that. So let's go back to insert, table of contents, document. Okay, so it looked at all of the pages in the document. It created a table of contents. Now, what happened over here on the right-hand side is that now it brings up a table of contents paragraph styles checkbox area so that I can select which paragraph styles I actually want in my table of contents. So I do not want the title, which was on the very first cover page, used as a table of contents. And notice as I make these changes, my table of contents on the page is also changing. So, and before I do that, I want to make sure that this is large enough for you to see this. Okay, so I'm going to go back over here. I do not want heading 2, but I do want headings to be in my table of contents. So I'm going to deselect headings 2. So now the only paragraph style that I want to use for my table of contents is the headings, which would be all of the chapter pages. So I have my 2, chapter 1 and chapter 2. And let me zoom back out. And actually let's go to fit width. All right, so my first page, my acknowledgements page, my table of contents, and it actually added a new page here because of those hidden things like page breaks. So what I'm going to do from the table of contents, I'm just going to click and press the delete key, which should delete that invisible page break, and now that extra page is now gone. And one of the reasons I also keep the thumbnails area open is because you can see what's going on. I can see that it was deleting that additional page. All right, so now I'm going to go back to the table of contents and I'm going to do a little bit of editing here. Let's zoom back in a little bit because I actually want you to see both. If I can see both margins. Okay, I can't see both margins, so let's go back to 100 versus 125. All right, so I want to actually take my page numbers and put them over on the right-hand side. So in my interface, click on Document, click on the Document tab, and actually that's not where I want to go. So let me make sure I know where I want to go. All right, Format, and Text. Okay, so this is where I went from there. So many places to go. Format, Text, and down here at the bottom, at the very bottom where it says default spacing, it gives you stops, alignment, and leaders. First of all, I'm going to add a leader line to where my pages are. So between the text and the page numbers. If I click here, you can see it added little dots between the text and the actual page number. Now I want to take those page numbers and flow them over to the right-hand side of the page. So I am just going to input a number here. And trust me on this. I'm just going to input 12 and press return. So how did I know that inputting 12 and pressing return will take those numbers all the way over to the right-hand side of the page? I'm psychic. That's how I knew. No, just kidding. And I hope I'm hearing you laugh, since I can't hear you. I'm just going with the flow here. So if I go to View, and I choose Show Ruler, what I did was basically looked at the ruler line and just took a guess at where this text box was located. So it was an educated guess on my part to take these numbers and float them all the way over to the right. This text box here, you cannot generate yourself. You can't edit it other than the contents. So if you want to move the page numbers over to the right, you're just going to have to play with the numbering a little bit. Okay. All right, so let me go back to fit and width, and let's continue on. Now, I want to decorate my pages a little bit. Let's go to page number 1, chapter 1. I'm going to add a sidebar over here. And actually, I want to see this a little bit. Let's go zoom this out. Okay, I need to see my page parameters. All right, so I want to add a text box over to the right-hand side. I call it a sidebar. It just adds a little more interest to your pages. So if I go up to the menu bar, just choose text to the toolbar actually. Choose text box. I'm going to just relocate, just relocate and resize. There you are. a text box here, slide it over a little bit. And I use the guides, I call them smart guides, and they'll pop up to show you what the alignment is for an object. They are very helpful. So let's go back to my text document. I'm going to select the text for my sidebar here. Whoops, undo, that's copy. Go back to pages, and I'm just going to enter that text here. I like the style, but I'm going to change it a little bit. But for now, I'm going to go to Edit, Paste and Match Style. It sets the text here. I'm going to set this text to caption, and then I'm going to make some changes. So over on the right here, I'm setting this to italic, and I'm changing the point size. And there's also something else that I want to change. I'm going to select arrange. Not arrange. Give me a second. Line spacing. Where's my text inset? Oh, duh. Now click. Now you get it. Back to, and layout, and inset. So from format, from here, from format to text, down, all the way down to text inset. I'm going to change that. So what is the text inset? If you watch the text box that I just created, the text inset will move the text away from the lines of the text box. So I'm going to increase that to give it a little more of a pleasing look. All right, so next thing I want to do is I want to change the color of this text box. So I'm going up to the Style tab, and I'm going to give it a fill, a color fill. Not that color fill, but I want to match one of the colors that's in the image. So if I come back over to the Style area and I click on the color palette icon and then select the eyedropper tool, I'm going to take this eyedropper tool, bring it over to the image, and just select any color I want. And now that color is picked up in this text box, and I can change the opacity just a bit to step it down. Step that down. So you can match colors from your images with items in your document. And for the sake of time, I'm just going to copy this box and go to the next chapter page, paste this in. It doesn't paste it in the same location, but it does paste it. Okay, there. And I'm going to change the color again to a color here. Oops. Okay, Command Tab, go back, now Command Tab. And let's try that again. Okay. There is something new going on since the update of Pages. It does not like you to, or me, to use the eyedropper tool without it disappearing. So you get to see all kinds of things going on today. Let's try this again. Turn you off, select you, and let's go back from the beginning with this. And select. It's got a color fill. I want to change this. Change it to something I prefer. And there you are. Eventually, I get it to work. All right. And again, I want to say, you know I didn't have any of these problems before the presentation. You never do. So this is how you can create a sidebar to add a little interest to your file. Now another thing that I want to create is a recording. And I'm going to actually go back to the acknowledgements page to do this. New to Pages 7.2 is the ability to insert an audio recording into your file. So if you go to the insert menu and select record audio, it will bring up a box for you to now record an audio. So let's click. Thank you. Again, your patience is greatly appreciated. And if I need to, I can edit it. I don't want to edit. I could also preview. And if I'm happy with it, I can insert. And it just gives you an icon for you to place anywhere in your document. So again, this is new to pages 7-2. And I want to show you something else that's new to pages 7-2. You actually have the ability to edit shapes and add shapes. So I am going to add a cute little icon at the end of my text here. And let's zoom out. So make sure nothing is selected. I'm going to go to the shape menu. Apple has added a bunch of different shape icons, different shapes to this program now. They don't tell you which ones, but they're here. And they are now editable. So let's see if I can select two and combine them and edit a little item out of them. So the ones I want are nature. I'm going to select the lotus here. Just drop that on the screen and place it anywhere. And I'm also going to select I want the sunburst. And let's select this one and add this one and just move that. Oops, get it out of the way, move it. Thank you. All right, so here, I want to actually take a couple of items out of this shape. So if I right click on it, I can choose two things. I can either say make editable, or I can tell pages to break this apart. I'm going to select break apart, and then I'm going to just click on a blank space to turn everything off, and click on portions that I don't want. Let's click there. I just want to insert this one into here. So let's make this a tad bit larger. All right, and let's make it larger. And now let's take it and move it over here. And I do see my text is moving around, so that's okay right now. And let's delete this one, delete that one, and let's select all of this. So I'm going to hold down Shift and select all of these. There may be a faster way, but this is what I'm doing right now. So now I have all of these shapes selected. All right, so, and I need to tell all of these to stay on page, because if I select move with text, I wasn't getting a setting that I wanted. So stay on page. Now in the lower right hand corner, you have new options as well. I can tell pages to unite these shapes or intersect or do a couple of other things, subtract and exclude. I want to unite these shapes. So now this is one shape instead of two. I'm going to take this and make it smaller and move it here. And I'm going to add this. Sometimes when you're reading items in magazines, they'll have a little icon at the end to let you know that you've ended, that there's no more text, that everything is ended. So now I'm going to tell this to move with text. My icon pops up right here. And I'm going to indicate that I want it to be in line with the text. And it should pop that right over. So now it's in line with the text. What you also may have noticed is that the leading of the text moved. So all that means is that my item is just a tad bit too large. And I'm just going to reduce the size just a little bit. If I can grab that, there we go, reduce it. And perfect. Okay, continuing on. You can also add a web link to your files. And let me go ahead and do that. And that will be the last item I do before I export it out to EPUB. And let's add a web link. Let's go here. All right, so I'm going to select this text to make my link. And I need to go to my text file and select the web page that I've chosen for this. All right, so let's select this again because I got parts of it missing. All right. So to insert the web link, I'm going to go to the Insert toolbar and choose Link. From there, if I select Web Page, it will then bring up a panel asking me what text to display, where I want this to go. Yes, I want it to go to a web page, and what is the link. So I just enter the link that I copied, and that is, in essence, all I need to do. This is now a link, and it shows up. You can see the little icon indicating that it is a web link. And let me make sure that there is nothing else. Okay, so let's fit in page. So I have my first page, acknowledgments page, table of contents, and all of my chapter pages. So in essence, my document is sort of done. I did not change this. Let me go ahead and change this because it may indicate that I don't have a image here, just a placeholder file. Okay, so let's slide that over and, all right, leave that right there. All right, so I have my document saved. I'm ready to export this out to EPUB. I want to eventually place this on my iPad. And what I'm going to do is pull this onto my iPad and show it to you after I export. So let's do this. Go to the File menu and select Export, Export to EPUB. And you can set the title, and we're going to set that as picture book. Now, you can choose to not have a cover on your book. You can choose to use the first page of the book as the cover, or you can also use an image. I'm going to select an image and go here and choose a cover for my book. Actually, let's choose this one. It's open. And now, this is very important when it comes to how your exported EPUB book is going to look. Reflowable. You've all seen reflowable EPUBs books, and that's when if you change the orientation of your iPad or your phone, how the text will change to either be landscape or it will be portrait. If you choose reflowable for something like the document that we just created, it will not look like it looks right now. If you want to maintain the look, you have to choose fixed layout. For category, I'm going to select art and entertainment, and it's going to be viewed as a single page, not two pages. I will embed the fonts. So let's choose next. And the next is just indicating where do I want this file saved. I'm going to save it right here. Okay, and choose export. And so I actually have one there. So let's not replace that. Let's name this picture book 2. And now let's export. So let's hide this for a second. Let's hide pages. And let's bring over to Finder windows. I also have QuickTime. And let's go, QuickTime is on, but QuickTime is not showing. Where, oh, I hit QuickTime, that's why. Let's go open this up. So you are now looking at my iPad. I'm using QuickTime to view my iPad. And I want to get our new picture book on my iPad. So this is this EPUB. And I'm going to drag it onto my iPad using AirDrop. Give me 1 second. There should be three items here.
Chita, you almost finished?
Almost finished.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. Okay. Give me 1 second, because now my iPad is not showing up in AirDrop. So why aren't you showing up in AirDrop? Let's do this. Let's quit QuickTime. And let's try that again. All
Chita.
right, so that's there, but it is not showing up here.
Okay, let's,
I'll try.
don't worry. Stop. Oh, she can't hear me. Can you hear me?
George, go ahead and open it up, question while I'm.
Stop. Chita, stop. Okay?
I stopped.
Okay.
Stop.
Can we take a few questions?
Great presentation.
Can we take a few questions?
Is there a
Thank
reference?
you. I apologize for all the problems
no.
here.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, don't worry about that at all. The presentation's been great. We have a few questions.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
Is there a reference document?
There'll be a video. Yeah, will you have any kind of a reference document?
There'll be a video.
Okay. Okay. So we'll have the video. Anything else?
That answers it.
I think that's it.